So I'm going to read to you an email that I sent to Dr. Garrett on August 23rd, 2021. It's called Sex Abuse. This is my email. My parents really did sexually abuse and rape me in my childhood. Or maybe it's a metaphor for sex deprivation and high emotion. My mother gets sadistic sexual pleasure from inflicting anxiety, torturing me, and depriving me of sex, making me frustrated. She wants me to be full of rage and come back with a vengeance. I feel it. I'm sitting beside her. No delusion. She gets sadistic sexual pleasure from my suffering. Then I said on August 23rd, 2021, I need to remind myself just because my mother is a nutcase doesn't mean she intentionally sadistically tortured me. For example, we have a hostile dependent relationship. She treats me like a child, and we're both frustrated by the codependency. I was having problems with my heart, so I asked my mom to call my doctor. She was screaming, shouting, behaving like a lunatic. My stepdad was miserable, pissed off, like he is most of the time. I felt like the years of horror and neglect were intentionally inflicted by my mother, meaning she's a sadistic torturer. She was just wearing underwear and her hand was near her vagina. I was getting frustrated and butterflies in my stomach, felt tizzy in my penis. That's when I felt like I was the victim of a pedophile ring. My mother is responsible for me getting sexually abused and raped. When I grew up, she deprived me of friendships and girlfriends, keeping me in a chastity belt. The dog licked me and she was like, "Aww." I felt like that was her way of saying, I made you commit the dog sin. The truth is, being around my mother is horrible for my mental health. I've made such progress in independence, socialization since being away from her. She's nuts. Avoid her. That's the moral of the story. And this is Dr. Garrett's email on August 23rd, 2021. Andrew, here is a mantra that may be of some use to you. It's worth repeating, committing to memory, so it comes to mind easily when you react to a situation. The fact that I feel a certain way in response to an event does not necessarily mean that the other parties present intended that I feel that way. The fact that I feel a certain way in response to an event does not necessarily mean the other parties present intended that I feel that way. The fact that I feel a certain way in response to an event does not necessarily mean the other parties present intended that I feel that way. The fact that I feel a certain way in response to an event does not necessarily mean that the other parties present intended that I feel that way. For example, I was driving last weekend when I came to a traffic junction where a policeman directed me to a detour that was out of my way. I felt irritated by the delay in being routed to a road that I was not familiar with, but the policeman did not redirect me because he intended to frustrate me. Just because you have an emotional reactions to things does not mean the other person did something with premeditated intent of upsetting you. Or here's a shorter version of the mantra. Think about the event, but leave out the intent. Then I said on August 23rd, 2021, my mom is truly an Adolf Hitler-like monster who sadistically tortured me my whole life. Her loving mother image is a facade. In secret, she's the devil. Lately, she's been leaving me alone to come back with a vengeance. I look like a rage-filled lunatic. She's trying to wipe her fingerprints from the crime scene and frame me to look like the Unabomber.